The video where we are going to perform the building of pipeline as a YAML code or pipeline as a code. So before we start our lab, let's see what all steps we are going to perform. This is the lab which is there on the Microsoft documentation. So that's where this lab is guided from, but it is a wonderful lab to understand pipeline as a code. So what we are going to do in this particular lab, this is the topic. So to test the lab, we should have some target, right? So creating app service with SQL, this is what we'll create at the beginning, so that while we are performing other steps in the CI/CD, Azure DevOps, it will be getting created, right? Then we'll have some code in the repo that I have cloned from Microsoft documentation or Microsoft GitHub. And this is a code for ASP.NET application. We'll go through the code and then we'll try to run build. We'll see the job and test. Once it is successful, then we are going to add stages in our pipeline, like a build stage and a deploy stage, or maybe dev, release, or production, multi-stage in the pipeline. We are not going to use the classic editor. We'll do everything in the pipeline and it will appear in the UI form. So let's get started and we'll go each step one by one. Whatever comes in our way, we'll do it, solve it, fix it. And it might be a little lengthy video. I'll try to edit it as short as possible by removing the dead air, of course, not the important material. So let's get started. So this is my Azure. Let's quickly create the app service with SQL so that we can deploy our artifact, or we can perform CI/CD into this target. Okay. So let me quickly deploy this web app plus SQL so that we need not to go through the configuration and all. It will provide the configuration. Let me quickly give it a name, CI/CD DevOps app. And we need a SQL database. I'm going to give some random name here. Again, CI/CD DevOps DB. We need to select the server. That was the database, CI/CD DevOps server. We need to give the, let's give the AZ admin. We have the save password, not saved here. That's okay, and select. We have almost all the information here, and what this will do, this will prepare the target for us where we'll do the deployment. So while it's deploying, let's save some time and get back to Azure DevOps. This is my Azure DevOps. DevOps CI/CD YAML is the name of the project, and I have my repo. This is the same parts unlimited repo that we were performing lab in the previous videos. So what we need to do, we need not to do anything in the repo as of now. We need to go to the pipeline. Okay. There it is. I don't know why deployment group pipeline. This is the old one, so we need not to do anything here. Let me pause it because we are doing everything from the beginning, and we'll create a new pipeline. That's going to hit the new pipeline, and where the code is residing. It's residing in Azure DevOps. This is the repo. That's the name of our repo, which we have got from the GitHub. We are choosing a repo. It is giving all the relevant template to use it because it's smart enough to understand the code, and it is an ASP.NET one. So we are selecting this. Now, this is a basic template given by DevOps to us so that we can add and modify as per our need. For example, right now it's giving trigger is on the master. And I know in our repo, we have master branch. If you have a main, you can change it to main, or if you want it from some other branch to be triggered, you can choose that. This is the Windows latest image because I'm working on Azure DevOps Microsoft hosted agent, of course, because this is the free tier. But just for the lab purpose, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna change it because this is the ASP.NET and we need VS Code, sorry, Visual Studio 2017 on 2016 server. So we can easily, I'm not saying this will not work, this will also work, but just for the lab purpose, you have to change your VM image that you can easily find out from the Microsoft documentation as per your need. You might need to go with Ubuntu or some other, there are multiple range of agents available that you need to choose accordingly. For example, for us, it's ASP.NET application, and this agent will work fine with us, okay? Now, what we need to do, we simply need to save and run because everything is already picked by default provided by DevOps, and everything seems to be okay for us. They need not to worry. It will simply run the test and build. Simply save and run. It is setting up the CI. Okay, CI is continuous integration. Now the job is running. It will take a few minutes, and under job we can see, if I click here, it's in queue right now, so we would not have anything to see. But once it is, it failed. Okay, it says no hosted parallelism has been purchased or granted. This is something new happened. It wasn't there before. Some changes has been done by the Microsoft. So now we need to go ahead and fill the form and request it so that we can have this parallel job. However, it's nothing like we are running anything parallel right now, but it considered the first two steps as a parallel. That's why it's giving us this error. So what can we do? Well, I have another organization. We can work on that. Yeah, give me a minute if I could go there. All right, so I put the video on pause so that I could open a different account where I could work on this, and I'm on the same page where I have the repository. I'm going to build the YAML pipeline. This is our repository. This is the code. This is the basic YAML file that is provided by Azure DevOps as per our repository and code type. And we did this change 2016, and now we need to save and run. This is our CI run. Earlier, we were getting error of parallelism. I couldn't even pronounce this word. Well, it was not there before, but recently we or free Azure DevOps organizations are started getting this error. When I did a little digging, we need to request through a form so that Microsoft can offer us parallelism or parallel job for the free as well, just to initiate, because nothing parallel is happening in the job, as you can see, but still the initiation needs that. And I think Microsoft is also working on it, because it would not allow any free tier to perform any pipeline. Anyways, this particular account of mine has that capability and it started running now. If I click on the job, you can see it's running. He's starting the NuGet command, going through all those steps which were there in the YAML code. Okay, it will take a minute or two. Let's wait. All right, within 2 minutes, it is done. You can see the green check here. If I click on the test, it will show us all the tests which were there. And you can see we are good. And now what we can do, we can also click here under the jobs and see all those steps which were done during the CI phase. It's initialized the job, and then NuGet installer, NuGet command, VS build. You can see all those steps here as well. VS test, these are the tests. Okay. Now, what we can do, since the CI works fine, now let's go ahead and works towards continuous delivery. And how can we do that? We can simply do that by editing the YAML file, because that's what we need to do in this lab. And let's go ahead and edit the YAML file. Now we can see the trigger is master. These are the pool image. These are the VM image that we are going to use. Now I'll show you the YAML structure. I was right here. This is the Microsoft documentation that I've been following. So the structure would be like this. We can add the stages like build and the jobs for this particular stage. We are calling it a build job, and then the steps required. This is the schema, right? So let me close this and get back to my YAML file right here. Let me quickly check that. So similarly, as I showed you the schema of YAML file, we need to add multiple stages here and the steps. I have this with me in my VS Code. Here, let me take you through, because this is not the lab for the YAML creation, but we should understand how it is created as shown in the MS doc YAML schema structure. It is following the same pattern. There's a trigger, there's variables, then the stages. We have build stage and we have deploy stage. Under stage, we have jobs. This job is build and it's going to use this pool. And these are the tasks which is going to be performed, which includes all those things that we have done in the previous CI stage, as you can see, installer, NuGet command, VS build. However, we have added one more task here, which is publish artifact. Right here, publish artifact. And where we want this published in the drop. Drop would be the name of the artifact and in the container. Okay. And then our deploy stage will start, and because to start the deploy stage, we have something to deploy, right? So what is that something? That is the output of CI pipeline. The output of CI pipeline is the artifact which is there in the drop. So this is what this is going to do. It will download the artifact. So we have added two tasks. One, publish the artifact at the end of the build stage, and then we have added one more task, download the artifact at the beginning of the deploy stage. Once this is downloaded from the artifact name is drop, as you can see, it's the artifactory directory, and we are going to deploy it to the pipeline, CI/CD app services. This is our web app. Now let me show you how we do that. We simply need to wherever we want to add the task, we need to come here and search here in the marketplace, for example, app service, deploy. And here we can choose the subscription there where we want to deploy it. It would have the service connections for us that we can utilize to connect to the particular subscription and have the access to deploy. And then we can choose the app service name. Like this is the app service name that we have created for this particular lab. And then we can click on add. Similarly, if we need to add publish artifact, you need to type publish here, and we would have publish build artifact. You click here, and this is going to publish artifact name as drop at the end of the stage or build pipeline. Similarly, you can again search for download artifact, and you can click on download artifact, and you need to click on add. It will come at the bottom here. That's how it will work. But I'm just saving time because it will take a lot of time to structure the YAML file, because that's not something that I'm good at. So I have created this after spending a lot of time. I'm just copying this file and pasting it here. Okay. And I did not created it from the scratch. I just followed the steps one by one. And even though I was facing a lot of issues. So anyways, this YAML file is here where we have two stages, build and deploy. Under build, we have few steps. Under steps, we have few tasks. These tasks will run, and at the end, it will publish the artifact, which is drop, and deploy will pick this artifact and deploy it to the app service. Okay, so let's save it and update it. Save. Run. Here you need to select the branch, whichever branch you're working upon. We are working upon master. So that's what we're going to do. And let's see how it performs. As you can see right here, they started showing two stages. It's because it's picking it up from the YAML code or pipeline as a code YAML. Even if you go to the pipelines right here and you click on runs, under run, you can see two stages. So I click there. Let me go to the pipeline again. Click here. This is our run, which is happening. These are the two which is in progress. All right, so that's how it will look like. Build successful, deploy successful, and you can click on published where the build published the artifact. These are the artifacts under drop, and both the build and deploy seem successful. These are all the jobs which are done by the build. You can see download build artifacts, and then web app that we have placed, Azure App Service Deploy, as I showed you how to do that through that task. And now what we can do, we can simply go ahead and run the URL of the app service. Let me quickly go back. All right, so this is the URL. As you know, it was CI/CD app01 azurewebsite.net. If I enter, it should start showing parts unlimited. There we go. So that's how it works. And if I would like to show you how it actually happened. So there were a few tasks involved at the very first. Then this was the repository. Either you can build from the beginning or you can clone. And then it was the build phase. During the build, there are certain tasks that we have done happen, including the testing. And once this is done, it will drop in the build or the artifact here. And this artifact will be picked by the delivery pipeline, or this is the CD where we have artifact to deploy. And now we are deploying by giving all the information of the target information. So this is in a nutshell. We did repo, then we did build, which includes test and other tasks. And then we got output as artifacts. And these artifacts were there in the drop, and this our CD, which is deployment, pick that artifact and deploy it to the app services. So this was the nutshell or the pipeline did. And the best part is we did this whole task, the entire task we have done with the help of YAML code. We did not use any UI, and you can keep this YAML code. You can keep this YAML code and utilize in other applications which are running around your organization. If it's a big organization, you can also group the task and utilize that together. You can create a centralized YAML file that could be used. Of course, not exactly the same. There would be certain tasks that can be added and changed, but the base template would remain the same, right? And you can have the versioning enabled on this YAML file as well. So this was the lab that we did from repo to app service. This is the entire deployment or CI/CD pipeline as code. Well, thank you for watching. Let's meet in another video. You have a good day. Bye-bye.